Hey guys, and welcome back to Full On, your Fulham centric pod. Wait, no, we're not a podcast today. I am making a YouTube video. I am going over my what I assume will be terrible Premier League predictions that I made in July of last year. Um, so the way this works is it's a points-based system, similar to what other YouTubers have posted. For each position out from your prediction you get 1 point. The aim is to have the lowest possible score possible. Lowest possible score. Without further ado, my prediction I did do based on guessing the results of every Premier League game, unlike just a generic prediction of positions. So that messed up my results a little bit. But we'll start from the bottom. Uh, Unfortunately for them, I did put Luton as my 20th place team, which they didn't finish 20th. They actually finished 18th, which credit to them. They actually did really well over the course of the season. It's a shame to see them go down on the final day, actually, to against Fulham, which is what it is. But they did themselves very proud. In 19th place, and this is where I start really losing points. I actually put Bournemouth. I thought they would have a horrendous season. I didn't think they would do well. I didn't think they would stay in the league. I actually had them getting 21 points, which is abysmal. They actually finished 12th, so I was a good 7 places off there. Unfortunately for me, it's 7 points I probably didn't want to pick up. And I did not quite as bad as that for my 18th place selection, but still very bad. I did Wolverhampton Wanderers at 18th. Who actually finished 14th in the table. They had a really good opening period of the season and then got to the 40-point mark and just didn't care from there on after. They also got riddled with injuries in the second half of the season. So they were very safe and nowhere near the drop zone. Bringing it back in a little bit, in 17th place, I put Everton, who actually finished 15th. I thought they'd be near and around the drop zone, which they were. And to be fair to them, they had 2 points deductions and they would have finished 11th without the points deductions. So they probably did better than I was expecting, but I only get 2 points there. Um, with that in mind, my next team when 16th was Nottingham Forest, who did actually worse than I expected, and they finished 17th. So only the 1 point there. So that's actually a pretty um, reasonable suggestion. In 15th, I put Sheffield United, who we all know finished 20th. So a strong 5 points there. I don't know why I thought Sheffield United would do well. Sheffield United fans knew that they were going down from the start of the season. They knew they would do awfully. My friends off at the Sheffield United way, shout out to them, knew they were going down. It was just a matter of just how bad it was going to be. So, yeah, that was really foolish for me to put them anywhere outside of the relegation zone. In 14th place, again, another howler from me. I had Burnley, who finished 19th, so that's another 5 points for me. I don't know why I thought Burnley would do so well. Maybe it's because they cruised the Championship last season. Maybe it's because Vincent Company was playing exciting football in the Championship. He had a howler of a season in the Premier League, but somehow ended up becoming the Bayern Munich boss over the last couple of days. Yeah, that's shocked the world and me, but there you go. From there, we move on to 13th place, where I had Crystal Palace. Yeah, Fulham finished 13th, and you will see why that's such a glaring mistake from me when we get further up my predictions. But Crystal Palace 13th, I don't think was an unfair shout. Mid-table mediocrity. Well, below mid-table actually, so better bottom half of the table mediocrity. is what I expected for Crystal Palace, which they were probably well in line to do if they had stayed with Roy Hodgson. They are the 6th best team in form since January when appointing the new manager, and finished the season in 10th. So, yeah, 3 points there gained. In 12th place, I had Brighton and Hove Albion, and unfortunately for me, they finished 11th. So I was really close. This was a good prediction from me. I didn't think they would do well after losing X amount of players over the summer. It just didn't make sense for them to continue their form in Europe, and they were playing in Europe, which then added more games for them to play with a dwindled squad. Close prediction, but not quite. My next prediction was 11th place, which I put Brentford, who actually finished 16th. They had a much worse off season than I anticipated. I actually dropped them down to 11th, expecting them to struggle with Ivan Toney, but clearly, while doing the results, I thought they would win a few more games than they did. So yeah, they finished much lower down than I expected, finishing on 39 points, which, to be fair, points wise wasn't far off where I predicted with 43. In 10th place, I put West Ham, who finished 9th. So fair on that one. West Ham have had an up and down season, getting slapped 5-0 in most parts of London, and then beating some people that you didn't expect them to beat as well. But Moyes' time has come to an end. Lopetegui's now in the driver's seat for next season. I can see them pushing up for next season, but we'll do that in a prediction video coming up. In 9th place, I had Aston Villa, who, as we all know, finished in the Champions League in 4th place. So, yeah, not great from me. That's really not great. That's another 5 points off of where they actually finished. So you can imagine all of these points racking up at this stage. But Aston Villa have been exceptional, and Ollie Watkins is a credit into himself. In 8th place, I had Tottenham Hotspur. They losing Harry Kane, I figured they would struggle a little bit, but still play okay football under Postecoglou. I was right. Uh, they did play exceptional football under Postecoglou. They just didn't struggle without Harry Kane. They struggled in the later ends of the seasons after a few key players got injured. And they ended up finishing 5th overall, which for them I think is probably a good season, but it's another 3 points off of the mark. In 7th place, I actually had Chelsea, who finished 6th. I expected them to not really to progress off of the previous season, but not really do much. And I was right. Chelsea didn't really do much until right at the end of the season when Pochettino did exceptionally well. We all thought he was a shoe-in for next season, and then was sacked immediately after. So Chelsea things for you. This is where I should hide my head in shame. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know how I was thinking it. I had us losing only 9 games throughout the entirety of the season and winning 23 with 74 points. I had Fulham in 6th, which was, pardon my language, and it will get beeped out anyway, but ridiculous. Yeah, that is God. That is 7 points for me for just being wildly inaccurate. And speaking of wildly inaccurate, we will go up through the top 5. You wouldn't believe who I put 5th, and with that, 4 points adrift. That's right, I put Manchester City, the Premier League title winners for the 4th time in a row, in 5th. Yeah, I expected them to really struggle after their treble winning season. They just didn't. They won the league. You could argue they had a hangover in the cups and didn't win anything outside of the league, but what can you do? Manchester City are Manchester City. In 4th place, I had Newcastle United, who actually finished 7th. So that's another 3 points for me, unfortunately. I thought they would do well and manage to retain a European spot despite playing in Europe. However, and they may have done had they not been riddled with atrocious injuries, the worst of I've ever seen in the Premier League. It's been ridiculous. In the game against Fulham alone, I think they had 3 players that ended up injured, 2 which stayed on the pitch, but just it was absurd. In third place, and sorry to our resident editor Dan, who will be editing this video and edits our podcast. I had Manchester United in third. They didn't finish third. They finished 8th. So I gained 5 points there, and he loses the will to live. So on the plus side, you won the FA Cup. Eric Ten Hag in, Eric Ten Hag out. Please let me know in the comments. Assuming that by the time this is edited and published, he hasn't already been sacked. In second place, and the only one I got spot on and get a nice whopping 0 points, is Arsenal. Yeah, I expected them to do well. I expected them to finish on a relatively high point tally. I actually had them on 85 points. They ended the season on 89, so they did slightly better than I expected. But yeah, Arteta, ball, I expected him to not quite pip it to the post, and I was right. I was wrong about who I thought would pip him to the post, in that I thought that'd be Jurgen Klopp, who we later found out towards the end of the season was his farewell campaign. That didn't happen. Liverpool finished third, but I thought they would be pushing for the title, and they were right up until the last few weeks. With that in mind, though, it's another 2 points for me, as I had Liverpool to win the title. That puts me on 66 points, which is abysmal. And why you don't do predictions in July, people? Granted, it was the 31st of July, but it was July. You should wait until the first day of the campaign or around then to do your predictions, as I will be doing this year. How that compares to some of your other favorite YouTubers? Yeah, I lost to all of them, including Angry Ginge, who finished on 64. Randolph, who finished on 48, along with Spencer FC, who also finished on 48. Mini Minter on 46. Fogden on 38 as the surprise winner to everybody. And Theo Baker, who finished on 46, as well as Minter. With that ado, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next one. Ciao.